Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is a video to compare two high-res audio gaming headsets, the Asus Rog Delta S and the HP Omen Blast. Now these are two high-res audio gaming headsets that I have reviewed and unboxed separately with a discussion about what they're like to use on PC, but here I'm going to talk to you about the different features and design aesthetics of these headsets because they are comparable in the audio department, but also interesting in a number of different ways. So I want to talk to you about what they are like here and go into some depth on the audio, the mic capture quality and more. Now the Rog Delta S that you can see here has a very flexible design to it. It has these ear cups that turn and twist nicely, and as you'll note, some interesting padding and design aesthetics to them. They also have D-shaped ear cushions, which basically mean that they sit over the ear in a more natural way, which makes them very comfortable in my mind. As standard, they come with these protein leather ear cups, but they also come with some other ear cups included in the box that I'll show you a bit later on. The highlight though is that turn and twist and bend in the headband and the ear cups, and also the sheer amount of padding. They're designed to be lightweight too, and that means that they sit on the head nicely with a reasonable amount of clamping force, but not too much. And also they're easy to wear all day long and into the night for gaming, and I've been doing just that and not having any problems with them. Those ear cups are also big enough to cover the ears, both in terms of depth and size, so I've not had any problems with comfort, and it's been really comfortable in that way, and it's been great to wear. The headband is also nice and extendable, and as you can see, it has a fairly solid design to it, so it will fit with most head shapes, I believe, and it certainly was one of the more comfortable headsets that I've reviewed recently, and I've enjoyed the overall aesthetic of it as well, which includes some RGB lighting on the ear cups that I'll show you in a minute. The headband itself is also nicely padded. That again is a protein leather padding, and it has in the ear cups a cool memory foam, so it's designed to keep you cool, although I did note some warmth in those ear cups. But the padding on the ear cups and on the headband is very satisfying, and it sits just really nicely on the head. More importantly though, it's easy to bend those ear cups into the right position to get them sitting nicely over your head, and I think that's a very important part of it, and that results in some really nice comfort that goes along with the audio as well. Now the HP Omen Blast by comparison is quite a bit different in terms of design. You'll note, for example, it has round ear cups instead of those D-shaped ones. It also has a metal headband that extends all the way around, and it is extremely stretchable and bendable and flexible, and I feel like this will be more robust over time, and has an interesting headband design that basically moves up and down with a bit of convincing. So if you have a really large head, this headset will probably be for you. However, those ear cups might not be quite as comfortable. I haven't had a major problem with them. I felt like they are comfortable to use. However, the shape of them might be a bit squashy depending on the size of your ears. If you've got particularly large ears, they might be a problem. However, again, they are faux leather and they are fairly deep, so I don't feel like the drivers were pressing against my ears when using them. It is a bit looser fitting on the head though. It doesn't have as much clamping force, which is either a positive or a negative depending on your personal preference. But one thing that I will note is that the headband itself is very stiff, and I'll show you more of what I mean on that in a minute. But that said, it is kind of lightweight and it isn't terribly uncomfortable to wear during the day, and so it's easy enough and good enough in that way, and it also has some really good sound, which I'll cover off in a minute. You can see the way the headband extends here is quite unusual, so you don't pull out and set to a specific limit. It basically moves with your head, and when you put it on, so it goes into the shape of your head and sits in that position, and it's easy to fit on that way. But the stiffness of the outer headband has presented some problems for me. Anyway, personally, one of the things I like to do is take the ear cups off occasionally. If someone comes to talk to me, I take one ear cup off and put it behind my head or something so that I can talk to them. But with this one, it's so stiff, it's really difficult to do that, and you can't easily adjust the ear cups in and out to position them to the shape of your head either, so I feel it's a bit more uncomfortable in that way. Now it has a retractable microphone, and I'll cover the quality of this microphone a bit later on and go into more depth on it in the review, so be sure to check out the links in the description to hear that. But you can see that you can tuck it mostly away when not in use. It comes with a braided cable that has a mic mute button on it and a volume control wheel. Now both these headsets are very loud. As well as being high-res audio headsets, they both have 50mm drivers and they're both very loud in terms of that. The HP Omen Blast actually has 53mm drivers that are capable of 20Hz to 20,000Hz in terms of frequency response. It has that 96 kHz 24-bit audio though when you plug in the 3.5mm connection to a USB-A connection and plug it into your PC. The Rog Delta S has a detachable microphone. This is a unidirectional microphone that's designed to work with AI noise cancellation and a number of other settings that allow you to adjust the quality of the microphone to block out external noise, focus on your voice. However, to be honest, I didn't find it that good. I'll show you a bit later on what that sounds like, as well as covering the changes that you can make in the software, but I actually found that the AI noise cancellation actually makes your voice sound a lot worse. However, you can detach the microphone if you choose not to use it. There are also controls on this headset on the ear cup which make them easy to access, and you can see that you have a button to turn the RGB lighting on and off and a volume control wheel. You can push that volume control wheel in to mute the microphone, and doing so you'll get a little red indicator on the end of the mic to let you know it's muted. The RGB light switch meanwhile switches between off, on and sound wave. The sound wave makes the RGB lighting around the outside react to your voice while you're speaking, so what's picked up from the microphone. And when it turned on the standard RGB lighting, you can adjust within the Armoury Crate software into a number of different RGB profiles. The RGB lighting is obviously a personal preference whether you like it or not, but you can turn it off if you don't want to use it, and you can adjust it. One of the things that I found interesting about it though is that it will work when plugged into your phone. So the Rog Delta S comes with a USB-C cable that can be plugged into an Android phone or directly into your PC if you have a USB-C connection on your PC or laptop, and that will then work with RGB lighting, which I was surprised by because usually you need to plug these sorts of things into a gaming machine in order to make the most of that. USB-C connection, as I said, as standard, and that allows you to make use of the 96 kHz 24-bit audio. The Rog Delta S is interesting because not only has that USB-C connection, but it also has an adapter to go to USB-A, and when you do that you can make the most of that audio. Now this headset is capable of 20Hz to 40,000 Hz in terms of frequency response, but it has 24-bit 96 kHz sample rate, and it also has a built-in high-res ESS9281 quad DAC, and is capable of rendering MQA audio, which means master quality authenticated sound. So if you have Tidal or another service that can give high-res audio, you can get some really fantastic music sound out of it. Meanwhile, the Omen Blast has 53mm drivers and also has high-res audio, but it can go up to 192,000 Hz in terms of sample rate on PC, so it actually has a wider audio range. The other thing that appeals to me about this one is that the cables are longer, which might seem like a silly thing, but the USB-C cable on the Rog Delta S is very short. It's good enough to reach from the headset to your pocket if you're using it on your phone, but if you're using it in a PC that's a bit farther away, it's a bit of a struggle. The Omen Blast has a longer 3.5mm connection, which you can then extend with the adapter, which goes to USB-A, and those cables are basically the same length, so you're doubling the length. So it's actually potentially too much cable depending on your setup. So it's one way or the other with these two headsets. One thing of note is that 3.5mm only has a single connection. There's no splitter in the box, so if you need to plug into two for a mic and a headset, then you will have a problem. The Rog Delta S also, as well as coming with the protein leather ear cups, has these hybrid cushions, and those are an option that you can install yourself. It's really nice to see when manufacturers include different styles of ear cup in the box without making you purchase them as an extra purchase, and so it's easy to take them off and install these ones if you want. Now the protein leather ones are more comfortable in my mind. They also do a better job of blocking out external noise, but it's really easy to remove them. You'll see there's just a lip around the outside of the driver itself, and you hook the ear cup over that, so you just basically need to run it around the edge and install it. It's a bit of a fiddle, but once you get the hang of it, it's fairly easy to do. So you can change these on your personal preference when you want to. Perhaps in the summer you want to go for the hybrid ones rather than the protein leather to keep it a bit cooler. I have said though that I find the protein leather ones to be a bit more comfortable. What I really do like though is that D shape to them that just fits really nicely over the ear. Now in terms of sound, both these headsets deliver high-res audio. However, I found that the high-res audio from the Rog Delta S was a lot better for music, and that's because it's designed to make the most of that, especially if you're running Tidal and you have really high quality audio that's been mastered at that level. This then has the DAC to be able to translate that into a good quality sound. In game, the Rog Delta S also sounds okay, although I did find that I had to do a lot of tweaks that I went into the depth on the review to the various EQ settings and sound profiles in order to add more bass into it, because it feels quite tinny otherwise, which is a bit of a shame. But for music it's fantastic. The microphone is a bit lackluster, but the 7.1 virtual surround sound on both headsets is okay. For positional audio it's fairly decent. High-res audio headsets do give you a wider range of sound though, so you can hear a lot more. And that definitely comes through with the Rog Delta S in terms of the music, because you can really hear sounds that you've not heard before when listening to tracks you're familiar with, which is really cool. The Omen Blast wins if you're the sort of person that's into sound whoring, because it has a setting within its software which allows you to just to specifically hear footsteps. So you can hear the footsteps of enemies approaching, and you can hear them more clearly than anything else. It washes out a lot of the other sound and makes it quite tinny, but it does allow you to focus on the direction and position of enemies. So if you're a really competitive gamer, that one has the upper hand, I feel like, whereas the Rog Delta S requires a lot more manual tweaking in order to get sounding good. It sounded really washed out. And now I'm going to talk to you about the microphones. This is the Rog Delta S on the head and with the microphone capturing the audio. Now I have it set so all the settings for noise gate and perfect voice and everything else is turned off, so this is the default recording with all those things turned off, and I think actually that is the best capture quality for it. I covered more of this in the review. If you're interested, be sure to check that out, because I show all the settings within Armory Crate. But what I'll quickly show you is what happens when you turn those other settings on. So turn on AI noise cancellation, turn on perfect voice, turn on noise gate. If I set these all to about 50%, you'll see the difference that makes, and it makes quite a big difference. I actually think, I'm just going to quickly turn those off again, it's much better quality without them on, although it's very compressed. Unfortunately, the microphone quality on this headset isn't particularly good. One point of interest though is that you'll see that you can have RGB lighting which reacts to your speech, so when you're speaking you'll see the lights are actually changing according to that, which is mildly interesting, although it is actually playing havoc with my green screen filter, but something unusual that you can do with it. But otherwise the mic quality is unfortunately lacking. And here I am with the HP Omen Blast headset, and this is captured directly from the microphone, and there aren't many changes that you can make within the software in terms of settings. There's no AI noise cancellation or anything funky like that, and that doesn't really matter because the headset mic capture isn't terrible. So I'm just going to type in the background now, so on a membrane keyboard, and you might be able to hear a little bit of that, but it doesn't pick up a great deal of background noise, and the quality isn't too bad. It's a bit tinny and compressed, and it's not as good as a dedicated microphone, but it does deliver a reasonable quality of sound when gaming, and it's straightforward to use because you can just mute it with the mic mute button on the cord when you want to, and retract it out of the way if you don't want to use it as well. And there's no messing about trying to get it sounding right, which is definitely a benefit. This is a lot more plug and play and really easy to use in that way. So there you have it, the HP Omen Blast versus the Rog Delta S. I think that I would choose the Rog Delta S for music and for the convenience of being able to use it out of the house with a USB-C connection, and it certainly delivers a good quality of audio. However, the HP Omen Blast is a better choice if you want to focus on footsteps and have that competitive edge in games. Both of them are very good headsets, but lack in some areas in the richness of the sound, and I go into more depth on that and the reviews, so be sure to check out those reviews separately, where you'll hear sound samples and a bit more on the settings within the software as well. Hope you found this video useful. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions. Thanks for watching. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Hope you found it useful, interesting, hilarious, or all of the above. Be sure to check out the description for other information you might find interesting, and subscribe and watch these other videos as well that I think might be useful to you, and have a great life.